Welcome back, everybody. Today's a fun day in the kitchen. We are in the kitchen today and not the apothecary because we need a little bit more room because today we are making some really special handcrafted soaps for Midsummer. And I have before me all of the ingredients that I need. And I also have, to begin with, the first batch I made for Midsummer is a beautiful goat milk. This is all goat milk that we're going to be using today. And this is a beautiful lavender, patchouli, and bergamot. It's a handcrafted soap, and it's got bits of lavender in it. I showed you on the other side there. And we have some mica in here. It's filled with essential oils and organic herb. It is just... I tested it, and this is a melt and pour base so that you do not have to let it cure. And it is a wonderful soap. It's very moisturizing and nourishing, and I highly advocate using goat's milk. The company that I bought it from is a reputable source, and there is no GMOs, no parabens, none of the additives. It's all natural. So let's take a look at our ingredients. As I said, we have... This is about 3.5 pounds of the goat milk base that I spoke of. And of course I have a wooden spoon that I've dedicated solely for apothecary, i.e. fragrance oil use. And I said fragrance oil, but it is essential oils that we are using today. So we've got our soap base, we've got our spoon, we've got our bench scraper, or i.e. soap cutter. And over here I've got 2 different shades of very fine mica. As you can see in here, I love the mica. It's just sparkly and it leaves just a tiny hint of a shimmer on your skin. It's not like, let's face it, exotic dancer glowing at night kind of glitter. This is a very fine mica, and it will not be, it's one of those things no one's going to notice. You'll just have a glow to your skin. I love this stuff. I've been using it for years. So I got it in complementary colors of a lavender, and this looks very pink, but it's actually more of a rose color to go with our color blocks here. And we're going to be swirling our soap a lot like the first batch. So this is a blue-red mica. And again, it's a very fine mica. So again, you're going to have kind of a glow to your skin, but nobody will see actual glitter, okay? You're not going to sparkle like that. And so we've got that, and we have our silicone molds. We're going to make 1 pound of soap today. So we're going to split it into our 2 pour jars so that we can get that neat swirling effect that everybody seems to love, and I love it too. But I do have a second tray because it always seems as if you'll have just that little bit left over. So I've got a second tray out here to just pour off anything else, and I'll keep that as a little mini bar for myself. So we have our silicone molds, and these are from Amazon. They're really easy to work with. They are freezer safe, dishwasher safe, and they're microwave safe up to like 100 and... I forget exactly, but it's well over cooking temperatures, like well over 200 degrees. These are quite safe. So you could actually use them also. They're food grade as well. So you can use these guys to make lemon bars and little snack bars, brownies. I wouldn't bake in these, but you could do like no-bake brownies or dessert bars, that kind of thing. And these are perfectly safe to use for that. Would I use it if I've been making soap in it, even though you can clean them out? I probably wouldn't. As you can see, this one still has some residual of the mica in it, despite washing it 3 times. So every tool for the job, or the right tool for the job, I would probably buy a separate set of these if I were going to use them for food. Let's just say that. And also essential oils are a very pure, strong oil, which I prefer to use in my soap making. And as a result, that can leave residual in here. So no, I would not use mine for food. I would get a separate set. Moving on from there, we have the oils that we're going to use today. We are going to use Rose Absolute, we're going to use orange, and we are going to use some lavender. And I checked them all together, and they just have this kind of wafting, melding quality to the scent when smelled together, like you're standing in the middle of a garden. And I really felt that for Midsummer, That was very indicative of all of the flowers are blooming and the harvests are growing, and the gardens and the trees. And let's face it, this is the time of the year when nature is at its strongest and producing the fruits of her labor. I also have some organic dried peppermint leaf that I thought I would add in there, and together also that has a nice fresh crisp smell to it. And of course our pour pitchers, and some skewers to use the blunt ends to stir if I need to stir something in that's small, like the mica. And just some little plastic cups. When you're using, and I'll show you this, but when you're using mica, one of the things that you need to do occasionally, depending on like the design you're going for, you'll put your mica in here, and then you will take and spritz it and dilute it with rubbing alcohol. And that helps disperse it through the soap more evenly if you want, or to create different patterns in your soap, which is what we're going to be doing today. And over here, of course, I've got my scale, and then I've got my spray bottle with rubbing alcohol. So those are our ingredients. These soaps, again, are melt and pour. We can cube up our soap and put it right in our containers and actually melt it in the microwave. We do not have to use a double boiler. You may do so if you wish. These are microwave safe, and so you can do it right in the pitchers, but you can use a double boiler. I just feel like if I don't have to make that extra mess, why would I? So let's go ahead and get set up and get going, and I'm excited. I think we're gonna have fun. Okay, now I've unwrapped my soap, and if you ever want to store your soap long term, I would advise taking your base block and wrapping it in plastic wrap, a couple of layers, and be sure that it's good and secure, and then putting it maybe in a gallon Ziploc bag if you have, soap that will fit in there. Otherwise, partition it down and wrap it individually, and otherwise it will dry out on you. It will eventually dry out. So what to do first is, I've got my little kitchen scale here, very economical. I think I paid $12 for it, not very much at all. I'm going to turn it on, but I'm going to tear it out. So I'm going to put my pitcher on first and hit tear. So now it's at 0. So having done that, now we can fill it. So all I'm going to do is start chopping this up. And what you want to do is try and just use your soap cutter or a knife. If you don't have to have a bench scraper or soap cutter. And then what you're going to do is cut it down, and then you're going to cube it. And it's as simple as that. So let me get that done, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, so I've got some soap cubed up already. I'm going to start adding it to my pitcher and see where we're at here. Okay, so that's 8 ounces. Now we're doing 2 different colors. Let's see if I can find a little, oh, that's 8.2. We're going to call that good. So I'm going to set that aside and put our second pitcher on. That's 4, 7.7, 8.7. So I'm a little off, so I tell you what we'll do. We'll do that. So it'll be a little bit over a pound, but we've got our soap cubed up. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these in the microwave in 30-second increments. And after 30 seconds, I'm going to take the spoon, I'm going to stir 30 more seconds until it's melted. So I will be right back. Okay, now while that's melting, what's going to happen now, you do need to work rather quickly. So I'm going to put my mica colorant in our little containers, and I'm also going to cube up our colorant. Normally for a pan of soap, I find it takes 2. Depending on the type of soap you're using is how well that color will pop. I have struggled for years to get a true black bar of soap. That depends a lot on the quality of the soap you're using and how white it is when you start, because clear glycerin type soap bases, yellow based yellow colored bases, certain grades of soaps, they won't take color as good as others. So we're going to work on that very quickly, and I will be showing you as we go. Okay, so before we do that, I wanted to take a moment and share with you some tips and tricks about working with this very fine mica powder. And I'm going to bring it in so you can see. I know this looks like really bright, and it is bright, but not as bright as it looks on camera. This is incredibly fine. It migrates everywhere. So please have your workstation under control as much as possible. I don't know if you can see it, but I've got that purple all up in my fingernails now. It's already migrated to the top of my trash can lid, which looks incredibly fancy now in the light. This will get everywhere. Yes, it's fine. It's not super obvious, as I've said, but as you can see on my fingers, how it picks up that shine, it is so fine. So just keep that in mind when you're working with it, because it'll get everywhere. Don't wear fancy clothes. Don't let it get on your counter. Try to have a controlled workspace. So having said that, these kits always come with an itty bitty tiny spoon. You don't need a lot of this stuff. These are very tiny little pots of mica, but they pack a punch. And like it gets all over the spoon right here, just take a paper towel. Let me grab one here. And just give it a wipe. And it generally comes out pretty clean from there. And again, be mindful of where those paper towels and utensils travel, because they will make a mess. And we're just going to do that there. Give it another little wipe. And we can just set that on the cookie sheet. And before we move on, we're putting the caps back on these little pots of mica for safety purposes. Okay, so get that done. Okay, and then we're going to take our spray bottle and we're going to use our rubbing alcohol to make a liquid here. And kind of what you can do a lot of different designs by doing this method. You can, basically what I have seen, what I've learned and done myself, is you can pour it into your molds by themselves, and then as you do your pour with your soap, it disperses it and makes some really fun designs. So as far as rubbing alcohol goes, you need to use 91% isopropyl rubbing alcohol and above. 99 is preferred. You can get away with 90%. I had 91. I've used it. It's never caused me a problem. It's cheap. You can pick it up in any grocery store, Walmart, any big box store, or a pharmacy. So you're going to add enough, and keep your face away from it too, because it will puff up. Now, the wonderful thing about the rubbing alcohol is it does not cause a problem with your soap. It evaporates. So as you're filling, as I take this and I pour it, say, in my mold, that extra liquid will not interfere with your melt and pour soap, and you can continue to spray the inside of your cup to get all of the mica out. So I'm going to do that with each of these. And again, keep your face away from it because it does puff up, and I don't really advocate breathing mica. But as you can see now, I think you can kind of see that. They're beautiful colors. And I think what I'm going to do is take both colors into each one and just kind of play with it and see how it turns out. Now, I will take a moment and tell you this, that when you're doing these kinds of things, you need to work quickly, which is why I keep telling you, like a broken record, have your workspace ready to roll. Because once your soap comes out of the heat source and it is melted, you have to move quickly. Now, as far as our essential oils, another one of our little handy dandy plastic cups, we're going to take our oils and we're going to put these combined in a cup, whatever scent that you plan on choosing, and you're going to use between 30 and 50 drops. Now, from experience, I can tell you, the company you choose your essential oils from matter a great deal. They're not created equally. Generally, I have found time and time again, if it sounds too good to be true, it is. The price point reflects the quality, okay? When you're dealing with essential oils, price point reflects the quality. Higher priced, you know you're getting closer to the real thing. Do your research, do your homework, and be sure that you're getting the quality product that you want. Because quite honestly, what will happen is that, and I've done this to myself, cheaper quality essential oils are usually blends. You have to use 10 times the amount and the scent does not last. So all of your hard work was for nothing and you basically spent money and lost it. So for this, I'm going to go, here's my Rose Absolute. These are all legit companies that are good quality. I don't know if this is going to take forever in a day. Probably, yeah, it's going to take a while. So let me go ahead and get my oils combined and then I'll be back with you. Okay, so we've got our fragrance oil and this is for a pound of soap. It looks like a lot, but I have found in my experience that you don't want too much, but this is going to be split into 2 different areas. And once that soap cures, and with melt and pour, that only takes like between 4 and 6 hours. You want that scent to last, and you also want to wrap your soaps up and package them properly once you're done, but we'll get to that at the end. So we have the fragrance oil, and again, that is about, it's not quite a 1/4 cup. All of my research says to use quite a bit less than that, and I have just simply found, and I know that, again, it goes back to the quality of your essential oils. I like a stronger smelling soap. This is for myself and my family. I go quite a bit more than what's required, but please keep in mind, depending on the essential oils you're using, too much can be irritating to the skin. So we're gonna go ahead and use our soap cutter / bench scraper again and just cube up the colorant. And again, colorant for soaps is simply made with the same soap as the base. It's just had pigment added to it so that it's very deep and vibrant, and it will then color your soap base, but it's actually soap. So let's grab our soap and get ready to assemble. Okay, this is where we work kind of quickly. I just took some tea towels on top of here to kind of hold the heat in, but not let that steam. We've got 2 colors here. We're going to disperse our fragrance oils. We're going to let those actually cool just a touch. We're going to take our mica and we're going to do splishy splashes right after we swirl them here. Get my pores down here. And again, like I said, we can get the rest of that mica in by simply squirting more of the alcohol in and just do it like that. Now this is sat for a few seconds, so we're going to pour in our fragrance oil evenly. Now you don't have to split it up, but your soap will be more uniformly fragranced if you do. And because I've got lavender color on that, we're going to use this to stir it up. And the combination of these are pretty amazing. The essential oils, they are just amazing. Set that down. We're going to grab this guy. And we're going to mix in those essential oils in very nicely. Now, in order to not kind of mar the outside with a very dark color, which is the peppermint, I'll sprinkle some here and there. Little mix. And a little mix. Now this will stand out more in the white colored one. And if we did this right, we're going to pray. Now we're going to pour at the same time. Or try to. And we're just going to let it fall where it wants. Ooh, some of these are turning out really cool. It's true. That's what soap is so fun, because no two are ever alike. And these guys will just kind of pour off right there. Okay. Now it already looks pretty cool, but we're going to give it a little spray. This gets rid of air bubbles, which you will always get. And it also makes the color disperse even more. So let me bring you around here. And that's what our soap is going to look like. Now, as I said, these need to sit for 4 to 6 hours before they pop out, and they're ready to use at that point. So let's let these babies rest, and I will be back for the unmolding. All right, we are back. It has been over 4 hours, and our soap bars have set up beautifully. So let's take them out and see what they look like here. So when I do this with these molds, you can just kind of peel them off, which makes it very easy to work with. Oh, wow. These are coming out so beautiful. And I love that it's like tie-dye. You never know what it's going to look like. It's just always different. Look at this. Oh, for heaven's sakes. Look at these. Isn't that something? And it's got the peppermint in it. And it's got the lavender, the rose absolute, the orange. And they smell divine. And no, they are not too strong. And each one is different. It's absolutely fantastic. And I will take each of these and I will wrap them in plastic, either a shrink wrap or a thin cellophane, and then I will box them up, and they will last, these will last easily 2 years and retain the scent. Everyone, thank you so much for joining me. This was so much fun. Midsummer is on. So we have our gifts to celebrate our beauty and our health with our soaps. These are great for gifts. These are great for little giveaways at the potluck, at any meal. For the celebration gathering, I think it'd be just darling to give these away as little presents to everybody. And in our next videos, we're going to be doing altar setups. We're going to be doing an entire menu plan. I'm really excited. I think this is a great kickoff for Midsummer. Everyone, thank you for joining me. As always, I love your company. And I can't wait to see you next time. Please take care, and blessings to you and yours. Love you guys. Bye-bye.